The next step in our Coil Pot project is going to be to start adding the layers of coils. And the way you do this is totally up to you. You could alternate between regular coils and design coils, or you could do several layers of design coils. It's whatever you want to do is totally up to you. So I'm going to start by doing a layer of design coils. And to do that, I'm going to take a small amount of clay. I'm going to set what I've constructed so far off to the side here. Now, whenever I create a design coil, I normally roll my coils much smaller than I typically would. Because if I want to create that design, such as a spiral or a square spiral or a rectangular spiral, the coil needs to be smaller so that it doesn't become too bulky. Okay, so I'm going to start to spiral this up. Make sure it keeps a nice shape as I'm working. And then take my X-Acto knife. Trim off the extra. I can use this for something else, so I'm going to set that to the side. And then I'm ready to attach my first design. So I'm sticking with just the regular spiral design, spiral coil here. I need to make sure I score and slip this on, and it's particularly important to score and slip your design coils because they're smaller and you have less surface area. I just have this small amount of surface area down here that I'm actually going to attach to my coil pot. Now, to help it attach a little bit better, did you see that I just tapped it on my mat lightly so that I flattened out the bottom of it? And that way I have a nice flat area where I can score and slip and then attach it onto the coils I've already created. Because this is a small area, I'm going to use my pink tool to score and slip. Whenever I score and slip, I like to go in one diagonal direction and then back the other way. And we're going to score and slip on here as well. Okay, and then just a little bit of water to help attach the two pieces together. I am gently pressing down to make sure those two pieces are stuck together and then just smoothing over the area around it. I'm going to create another spiral coil, and I'm actually going to put it over here on the other side. I'll go ahead and do that. Hold it up and see if it's about the same size. It looks like it is. Got a little bit to trim off there. And then I'm going to gently flatten that edge down. And then I'm going to tap it on my mat to create that nice flat spot where I can attach it to my pot. And this one's going to go over here. And I need to score using my pink tool. And then a little bit of water. I'm going to press down firmly but gently to make sure that it is attached. And then smooth around it if there are any score marks showing especially. Okay. Now I could go on, I could do a whole row of those if I wanted to. I could make two more and put them here. But I'm going to go ahead and do a next layer, which is just going to be a regular coil. So I'm going to take some clay. I'm going to set what I've created off to the side so I have room to roll it out. And I like to make my coils that are going to go all the way around nice and long, just to make sure I make them long enough and I don't make them too thin. Remember that our regular coils that are not design coils need to be on the thicker side, not too thick of course, but enough that you build some height to your coil pot. Okay, I'm going to cut that off right there, cut that off there, put those off to the side, bring my coil pot back, and then I'm going to make sure that this is a good length. Now that I've got some design coils on here, I am going to have to work to come up and over those. So my coil is going to need to be even longer than I may have thought it needed to be. Okay. I'm going to place everything carefully, and then the areas where it comes up over top those design coils, I'm going to make sure that it conforms nicely down here on the sides of the design coil, so I don't have too big of a gap with my new coil. All right, I think that looks good. I'm going to hold it up so you can see it a little bit better. Now, unfortunately, I can't just leave it. I have to score and slip it to make sure that it does stick to what I've already created, because we don't want our coil pot to fall apart. So I'm going to use a combination of my fork to make my score marks. And then I'm also going to be using my pink tool because these are smaller, and I want to make sure that I don't damage them by scoring with my fork. You can't be quite as precise when you're scoring with the fork. I normally use that for larger areas. Score the sides of these. Okay. Some water to help stick everything together. Let's go ahead and place this nice and carefully, and then we'll smooth everything out, make sure everything looks nice. Okay, and once I have this smoothed out, I feel like everything's attached nicely, I can go ahead and begin to construct my next layer. If you've already created a preliminary design on paper, that would be a good thing to have out for reference. Those designs can be changed. If you put something on and you don't like the way it looks, you can always take it off and change what you've added. Now, your coil pot needs to be no shorter than 6 inches when you've finished constructing. So it may be a good idea to have a ruler handy so that you can measure what you've created and you know that you've met that requirement. Okay, now let's say we are done constructing for the period. We're ready to pack up. What you're going to be doing is using a plastic bag to keep these nice and soft from day to day. Because of course we don't want them to dry out on us before we're done working on them. So I've got a plastic bag here. Move all my tools over. I'm going to very carefully place this in my plastic bag and then bring the sides up. Gently kind of pull the air out of there and then tie a loose knot right over top of your coil pot. And when you carry your coil pot over to where it's being stored, make sure you carry the actual pot, okay, because it's very fragile right now. You have to make sure that you take very good care of your clay. If you pick it up by the bag, you're going to put a lot of pressure on the sides of your coil pot. You could very easily damage it or smush it out of shape, which of course we don't want, because then you'd have to pull those layers off and you'd have to reconstruct them. I don't want you to have to do work that you've already done. All right, thank you. I hope you have fun making your coil pot. I'll see you in the next video.